Imagine two soldiers returning from war, both witness the same horrors, but years later we find them in completely different places. One is paralyzed by flashbacks, drowning his pain in alcohol. The other has become a respected therapist, using his experience to help others heal. What created this radical difference in outcomes? The answer lies in their understanding and application of emotional strength. This paradox confronts us daily. We see people crumble under minor stresses while others thrive through unimaginable hardships. The secret isn't in what happens to us, but in how we process what happens. Emotional strength operates like psychological gravity, an invisible force that either pulls us down into suffering or propels us forward into growth. Modern neuroscience reveals fascinating insights about our emotional wiring. When researchers at Stanford monitored brain activity during emotional triggers, they discovered our amygdala, the fear center, reacts within 50 milliseconds, nearly 10 times faster than our conscious thoughts. This explains why we often feel controlled by our emotions before logic can intervene. But here's the revolutionary truth. We can rewire these automatic responses through deliberate practice. Consider the case of Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor, a Harvard neuroanatomist who suffered a massive stroke as her left hemisphere shut down. She experienced something extraordinary: complete freedom from emotional baggage. Her recovery journey taught her that while we can't prevent emotional storms, we can choose whether to let them pass through us or set up permanent residence in our minds. This brings us to the three fundamental laws governing emotional strength. These aren't quick fixes or positive thinking tricks, but immutable principles observed across psychology, neuroscience, and countless human stories of transformation. They work, whether you believe in them or not, much like gravity works. Whether you understand physics or not, the first law, emotional sovereignty, establishes that you are the ultimate authority of your inner world. The second law, constructal emotional flow, reveals how to channel emotional energy productively. The third law, emotional anti-fragility, shows how to grow stronger through adversity. Together, they form an unshakable foundation for psychological resilience. Why does this matter now more than ever in our hyper-connected world? Emotional triggers bombard us constantly. From social media outrage to workplace politics to global uncertainty, the World Health Organization reports anxiety and depression rates have increased by 25% globally since the pandemic. In this environment, emotional strength isn't just helpful, it's survival. But here's the hopeful truth: emotional strength isn't an inborn trait reserved for a special few. It's a set of skills anyone can develop. Like building physical strength, it requires proper technique, consistent practice, and progressive challenges. The following laws provide your training manual. Law 1. The principle of emotional sovereignty. True emotional freedom begins with a radical realization: no external event or person can make you feel anything without your permission. This isn't to say others can't behave hurtfully or that circumstances can't be painful. Rather, it means your emotional experience ultimately depends on how you process what happens. The neuroscience behind it. Brain scan studies show that when we blame others for our emotions, we activate the victimhood network, a neural pathway that literally weakens problem-solving abilities. Conversely, taking responsibility for our emotional responses strengthens the prefrontal cortex, enhancing emotional regulation. Meet David, a customer service manager. When an angry customer screams insults, his old pattern would be 1. Take it personally, 2. Ruminate for hours, and 3. Snap at his family that evening. After learning emotional sovereignty, David now recognizes the customer's anger isn't about him. 2. Uses physiological size. 2. Quick inhales through the nose, long exhale through mouth to calm his nervous system. He chooses a professional response aligned with his values. Common pitfalls: believing they made me feel this way gives away your power. Confusing acceptance with approval. You can acknowledge feelings without endorsing their cause, expecting to control emotions rather than influence them. Practical tools. 1. The 90-can rule. When triggered, set a timer. Emotions typically peak and pass in 90 seconds if not fed. The naming game. Precise emotion labeling. I feel disappointed rather than angry reduces intensity by up to 50%. The choice point between stimulus and response. Ask, how would my wisest self handle this? Historical case study. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, maintained emotional equilibrium while leading wars and political intrigues. His personal writings reveal how he practiced emotional sovereignty daily. You have power over your mind, Not outside events realize this, and you will find strength. Modern research, a 2023 Harvard study, tracked emotional regulation in high-stress professions, those practicing sovereignty. Techniques showed 32% lower burnout rates, 28% better decision-making under pressure, significantly stronger leadership ratings. Deepening practice. Create an emotional sovereignty journal tracking your triggers. What happened to? Initial reactions. What you felt. 3 chosen responses. What you did. 4 outcomes. How it worked. This builds metacognition, the ability to observe your own emotional patterns objectively. Law 2. The principle of constructal emotional flow. Nature provides the perfect model for emotional processing. Water doesn't resist obstacles, it flows around them, gradually shaping the landscape. Similarly, emotions need healthy channels to move through rather than being blocked or allowed to flood uncontrollably. The science of emotional flow. Stanford researchers found that suppressed emotions increase inflammation markers by 37%, while properly processed emotions enhance immune function. MRI scans show constructive emotional expression creates coherence between heart and brain rhythms. Real world transformation. Sarah, a cancer survivor, initially bottled up her fear and anger. This led to panic attacks. Through constructal flow practice, she developed a daily ritual: 1 morning, pages stream of consciousness, journaling; 2nd, lunchtime, nature walks; 3rd, evening, creative visualization. Within months, her emotional energy transformed from a destructive force into creative fuel. For advocacy work, overcoming common blockages, numbing with substances, screens, or busy venting without resolution, perpetuating negativity, spiritual bypassing, just be positive without processing. Flow channels. 1. Physical exercise, dance, yoga converts emotional energy into motion. 2. Creative art, music, writing transforms feelings into expression. 3. Verbal therapy, authentic conversations provides witness and reflection. Historical wisdom, ancient Taoist practices like Tai Chi were designed to facilitate emotional flow through movement. The Chinese concept of Wei, effortless action, mirrors this principle. Modern application tech companies like Google now incorporate emotional fluency training, teaching employees to 1. Recognize emotional data; 2. Channel it appropriately; 3. Use it for innovation. Deepening practice. Create an emotional flow map, identifying 1. Your most common emotional states; 2. Their physical sensations; 3. Your healthiest expression channels; 4th, warning signs of blockage. Law 3. The principle of emotional anti-fragility. Beyond resilience bouncing back lies anti-fragility, the remarkable ability to grow stronger through adversity. This law reveals how to transform life's inevitable challenges into evolutionary fuel. The biology of strength. Research on stress hormones shows that chronic, uncontrolled stress damages cells. Acute recovered stress strengthens them. This is why athletes periodize training with recovery. The same principle applies emotionally. Business case study. After her fashion business failed, Elena conducted an autopsy without blame. 2. Identified key learnings. 3. Applied them to her next venture. Within 5 years, she built a more successful, crisis-proof company. Growth traps. Avoiding all discomfort, like never lifting weights, glorifying struggle pain without growth, not allowing recovery periods. Anti-fragility toolkit. 1. Stress inoculation, gradually increase challenges. 2. Crisis reviews, extract lessons after difficulties. 3. Meaning making. How is this preparing me? Historical example. Nelson Mandela transformed 27 prison years into leadership training. Emerging not bitter but visionary. Modern research studies on post-traumatic growth show many people report deeper relationships, new possibilities, personal strength, spiritual change. Greater appreciation. Deepening practice. Keep a growth log documenting 1st challenges faced, 2nd skills developed, 3rd strengths discovered. The emotional strength ecosystem. These laws form a dynamic system. 1. Sovereignty equals the captain. 2. Flows the ship's design. 3. Anti-fragility, the ability to weather storms. Daily integration practices. Morning set emotional intentions. Sovereignty. Noon check for blockages. Flow evening review lessons. Anti-fragility. James, a veteran with PTSD, combined 1st mindfulness sovereignty, 2nd EMDR therapy. Flow 3rd service work. Anti-fragility now helps others heal. Emotional strength compounds like interest. Small daily practices create massive transformation over time. Your emotions aren't obstacles to overcome, but energy to master. Start today with one small practice from each law. Record the changes. This isn't just psychology, it's the art of human evolution.